They told you it would be different this time. No more whips. No more chains. No more man standing over beast. Just freedom. Equality. A farm ruled by the animals themselves. That's how the revolution began, not with bloodshed but with a dream. A voice in the dark, ancient and trembling. Old Major. The wisest pig on the farm. He spoke of a world where animals worked for themselves. No masters. No cruelty. Just peace. The others listened, wide-eyed, breathless. Boxer the horse. Clover. Benjamin the donkey. Even the chickens and the sheep. They believed. Because belief is easy when you're desperate. They sang. They chanted. They plotted. And when the time came, they rose. Jones, the farmer, drunk and careless, was driven out. Chased down the road like the ghost of tyranny. The animals cheered. They had done it. They were free. They painted over the gate, Animal Farm. A new name for a new world. But revolutions rarely end where they begin. In the first days, everything felt real. The commandments were carved into the wall. All animals are equal. No animal shall kill another animal. No animal shall sleep in a bed. They were sacred truths, etched in stone and in spirit. And the pigs, clever as they were, took charge. They said it was temporary. They said someone had to lead. They said they were doing it for everyone. And the animals believed. Because the lie wasn't shouted. It was whispered, slowly, carefully. Like poison stirred into milk. The pigs learned to read. They gave orders. They claimed the milk and apples. We need it, they said, to think clearly. For your sake. And again the animals nodded. Because they remembered the pain of the past. And fear of going back, makes even lies sound sweet. They didn't see it yet, but the revolution had already been stolen. Not by humans. But by the ones who promised to save them. The truth? The most dangerous tyrants are the ones who say they're liberators. And the first chains are made from hope. It didn't happen overnight. There were no guns, no shackles. Just a shift in posture. A glance. A silence. And slowly the pigs began to stand a little taller. Napoleon said little at first. Snowball spoke more. Plans, ideas, windmills. He was loud, passionate. But it wasn't the loud ones you had to fear. It was the quiet ones. The ones who watched. Waited. Behind the speeches and slogans, Napoleon built something darker. Loyal dogs trained in secret. Not pets. Not companions. Enforcers. And one day, with no warning, he made his move. Snowball stood before the animals, mid-sentence, talking of progress. The dogs charged. Teeth bared. Eyes blank. They tore through the gathering like thunder. Snowball ran. And just like that, the debate was over. Napoleon didn't need votes. He had fear. And from that moment on, the revolution belonged to him. He spoke through others now, Squealer, the silver-tongued mouthpiece. Comrades, he said, you don't want Jones back, do you? That phrase became a weapon. Every question answered. Every doubt silenced. The commandments began to blur. No animal shall kill another, gained a new tale, without cause. All animals are equal, but some were suddenly more equal than others. And every change was explained, rationalized, justified, not with reason, but with fear. The pigs moved into the farmhouse. They slept in beds. They drank whiskey. The animals remembered the rules, but Squealer smiled and showed them the wall. The words were different now. Were they wrong before? Had they misunderstood? The truth was a moving target. And when reality bends, so does resistance. Boxer, the strongest among them, worked harder. I will work harder. It became his prayer. His shield against doubt. And when things went wrong, when food ran short, when rations were cut, he whispered the other lie they all clung to, Napoleon is always right. Because once you believe your leader is perfect, he doesn't need to explain. He can change the rules, rewrite history, break promises. And you'll cheer for it. You'll thank him for it. You'll forget that power was meant to be shared. That freedom was once yours. Because in Animal Farm, tyranny doesn't need iron bars. It just needs memory to fade and loyalty to stay. They gave everything. Their muscles, their backs, their sleep. The animals worked from dawn to dusk, through snow and sweat, famine and fear. Not because they loved Napoleon, but because they remembered the dream. Animal Farm. A place where all were equal. Where beasts ruled themselves. But dreams rot slowly. And in silence. The windmill, the great project meant to bring light and leisure, became a monument to exhaustion. Built, destroyed, rebuilt again. Not by the pigs, of course, but by Boxer. Always Boxer. His hooves bled. His sides sagged. But he never stopped. I will work harder. He believed in effort, in sacrifice, because no one ever told him the truth, that the game was rigged. The pigs watched from the farmhouse windows, fatter now, more human with every day. They gave orders, held meetings, issued speeches, but never lifted a hoof. The food rations shrank. The songs grew quieter. The commandments changed again, sometimes overnight. When animals questioned things, when a hen protested, when a sheep remembered too much, they vanished. And Squealer had an answer ready: traitors, enemies of the state. Fear became the new food, and they swallowed it, day after day, until it dulled their instincts and erased their memories. But nothing hurt more than what they did to Boxer. When his body finally gave out, when he collapsed pulling stone for a cause he didn't understand, the animals wept. They knew he deserved peace, care, rest. He had earned it. Napoleon promised to send him to a vet. A cart came. The animals gathered around, waving goodbye. But Benjamin, the quiet, cynical donkey, read the side of the van. Horse slaughterer. They screamed. They ran. But the doors were already shut. Boxer was gone. And in the following days the pigs told a new story. He died in peace, in comfort. We gave him a hero's farewell. They toasted him with whiskey, purchased no doubt from the price of his flesh. And the animals said nothing, because what could they say? Their strongest had fallen. Their hope had been sold. And worst of all, they still believed in the farm. They still believed they were free. That's the true betrayal. Not the lies from above, but the silence from below. The line was never meant to blur. Animals walked on 4 legs. Humans on 2. That was the law. That was the truth. That was the boundary. But boundaries crumble when truth is twisted. The pigs began to walk differently, at first, a limp, then a stride. Their bodies grew round, their voices more clipped, their faces more human. And one day they stood upright. The animals watched from afar, eyes wide, hearts heavy. It was forbidden. It was unthinkable. But no one stopped them. Because by then the farm was no longer theirs. It belonged to the pigs. They wore clothes now, held whips, carried ledgers. They spoke in the same tone Jones once did, distant, cold, commanding. And the animals, the rest of them? They were shadows in the fields, tools with fur, their names forgotten, their stories erased. The final betrayal came not with violence, but with celebration. One evening, the pigs invited human farmers to dine at the farmhouse. The windows glowed golden. Laughter echoed into the night. The animals crept closer. They peered through the glass, and what they saw broke whatever was left. Pigs and men, drinking together, toasting one another, laughing. Indistinguishable. The faces blurred in the flickering light. The snouts, the jowls, the beady eyes. And in that moment the animals realized the truth. They had never escaped the old tyranny. They had only traded faces. The final commandment had changed again. The others were gone, scratched out, forgotten. Only one remained. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. It was no longer a lie. It was doctrine. And so they stood outside the window, cold, tired, broken, watching their rulers laugh, watching the dream die. There was no revolution, no liberation, only a reshuffling of masks. Because tyranny doesn't care what shape it takes, man or pig, boot or hoof. Its goal is always the same. Power for the few, silence for the many. And those who once cried for freedom now whispered to themselves, maybe this is just how it is. Because when beasts become men and men become beasts, the world doesn't burn with fire. It just forgets what it was fighting for. This was never just about animals. It was a mirror, a warning, a prophecy. You were supposed to look at Animal Farm and see your world, your leaders, your systems, your blind spots. But instead you looked away. Because the truth wasn't comfortable. It wasn't a bedtime story. It was a scream, buried beneath talking pigs and silent sheep. Orwell didn't write this for children. He wrote it for the generations too proud to see their own chains. For the citizens who vote but don't question. For the workers who break their backs while the powerful toast to progress. Animal Farm was a fable, yes. But the moral wasn't about animals. It was about you. You, the one who thinks obedience is safer than dissent. You, the one who thinks your leaders' lies are just politics. You, the one who thinks revolutions can't be stolen. They can. They are. Every day. Because the playbook never changes. Promise them equality. Scare them with the past. Take control in the name of justice. Then rewrite the rules. Repeat until they forget. And they will forget. They will forget how it started. They will forget who betrayed them. They will forget what freedom even felt like. And one day they'll find themselves staring through the window, just like the animals did, watching men toast with beasts, trying to tell them apart, and failing, because when the lie becomes tradition, and the whip wears a friendly smile, and the anthem drowns out the questions, you won't even notice the chains. You'll call them loss. You'll call them peace. You'll call them necessary. And worst of all, you'll believe you are free. That's the final warning. Not that tyranny exists, but that it can wear any face, speak any language, and convince you it's your friend. So next time a flag is raised or a statue carved or a promise shouted from a podium, ask yourself one thing. Are they building a future or just another farm? Because if you're not careful, if you forget to remember, if you trade truth for comfort and freedom for obedience, then the pigs win, and no one will come to save you, because you were warned, and you forgot.